Welcome to the Business Vitality Podcast. My name is Catherine Cantey. I am the host and an executive coach. I work with teams, individuals, and leaders to help create measured leadership change. We do that using practical applications, and our clients are creating 100% measured results as seen by those around them. Not necessarily what I think or what they think, but what the other people are seeing. And they are being recognized for the hard work that they're doing. If you're interested in learning more about some of the work that we're doing, you can learn more at catherinecantey.com. I would love for you to subscribe to this show, to Business Vitality. This is my way to continue to pay it forward and share business best practices. Stay tuned and listen to the interview. Thanks for being here. Matt Palmquist, you are the founder of 610 Marketing, found on the web at 610marketing.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for having me. I'm blessed to be on the show. I've been a big fan of yours for a while now. So I'm when the opportunity arose, I couldn't pass it up. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, being able to share some good stories. And, before we kind of dig into this, I would love to hear from you. Tell me about 610 Marketing and a little bit about the work that you're doing now.
So 610 Marketing was founded in 2016, and I kind of had my Jerry Maguire moment. I was working for other agencies in Houston, and then I decided that to take a leap of faith and started 610 Marketing, and the name, like I was mentioning to you off camera, was it's derived from my height. I'm 6'10". I used to play basketball collegiately and a little bit of pro. And the mantra is, why try to fit in when you're meant to stand out? And so 610 Marketing is just a natural and perfect fit. And then we've been successful. We've been in 7 years now in September. We're blessed, and we're a full suite agency, boutique, but we handle anything digital. We do PR, crisis management. It's a great thing. I love it. Every day is different.
That is the part of, owning your own business. And then also with sports, it's never the same thing twice. I don't know much about basketball, but I grew up on a golf course, and I was consistently inconsistent on the golf course for all of my life. But yeah, I hear your Jerry Maguire plug in there, and I hear the 610 and basketball, and talk about how you got into that, if you don't mind.
Well, as far as basketball, or just starting into, so I found basketball on the playgrounds of my 4th grade intermediate school, and all I wanted to do was learn how to dribble between my legs. And because that seemed to get a lot of attention in the 4th grade class, right? And so and it just kind of progressed from there. I've always had that hunger and that desire, that competitive spirit that fueled me all my life. And so it was a natural progression from, junior high to high school, and then wanting to play collegiately and continue on after my college career. So the game of basketball has brought me my best friends, and it's allowed me to travel all over the world. And, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. I appreciate hearing, just kind of how that evolves and how that happens. And, if you've spent basically your whole life with basketball, and it's a business, and you're looking at it that way, at times it can be kind of exhausting and maybe create a little bit of burnout. Do you ever feel like that along the way? And if so, can you talk about it, and how do you balance that burnout and that love at the same time?
Yeah, there's definitely a burnout, just when I was playing, and now as I transition into the marketing space, there's definitely a burnout. What I found, one of the tools that I've recently discovered was meditation. And so, I try to take at least 30 minutes a day every morning around 6:30, and just kind of go to myself and just kind of reflect and think and design in my head of what I want my day to look like, what I want my week to look like. Maybe somehow I can handle a situation, oftentimes when we get into situations, we react emotionally, right? And so I think by just kind of doing self-reflection, it helps me kind of have a better outlook on a way to handle a situation better than just reacting emotionally and then regretting, and so meditation has been huge for me, and I've been doing it for about 6 months now, and I'm not perfect at it, but it's definitely helped with the burnout.
Isn't that true though? Everybody thinks that they have to be these great meditators and they have to go like full blown into the world of meditation. And I'm working with clients now and they're leaders, they're creating great results. And I intentionally ask them, how do you spend your time and where's your planning time? Where's your reflection time? Because businesses that continue to thrive and excel in this world, the leaders take time to think and plan and reflect. And then they make adjustments, much like basketball. You play a game, you go back and you watch and you practice a ridiculous amount of hours just to perfect this one, play that you have, one skill.
Yeah.
And, meditation, people may think that's just a big waste of time. And I can't take 5 minutes and go meditate. And I'm doing it wrong. I hear that all the time. I'm doing it wrong. I'm like, I meditate wrong all the time. So how do you, because my mind's chasing, and then that's when I know I need meditation. So how did you even decide, I'm going to give it a shot? And what was there like a burnout where you're just kind of like, something's got to give and I've tried everything. I might as well try meditation? Or how do you get into it?
So I found it by coincidentally, it was kind of a perfect storm of events. As I got into being the head of 610 marketing, and we've had success, and I started to have more like panic attacks, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I think we all have some form of panic attack or anxiety attack. And so one day I just had this crippling anxiety attack, like literally, like I'm almost 7 foot tall, and I was on my knees, just scared, and it was in that moment that I knew that I had to find an outlet to try and figure out how to cope. And then a couple of weeks later, my son, who plays college basketball, had a moment where he came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, did you ever get depressed, or did you ever have anxiety when you played?" And I said, "Evan," I said, "unfortunately," I said, "back when I played decades ago, right? It wasn't we might have had it, but we didn't have an outlet. We didn't know what it was. We just kind of worked through it, right? It wasn't a hot topic. It wasn't, it wasn't in the forefront of society like it is today, right? Mental health. And so it was that combination that I knew that I needed to, one, find help for him, right? And then two, I needed to find help for me and find, an outlet to deal with the anxiety and the stresses of, being a creative founder of a digital marketing company. So I mean, that's kind of the long story, but it was just a perfect storm of things that I just said, "Hey, I need to make a change. I need to find an outlet." And that's what happened.
I think that there's a lot of good information in there because, growing up, we weren't encouraged, or at least for me, I wasn't encouraged to talk about all these feelings and all this stuff. And so I purposely, I remember being at the age of 14, I said, I'm going to bottle this up. And when I get older, I'll deal with it then. And then we fast forward, 30 something years later, I'm like, I've been bottling this up very successfully for a very long time. At what point do I need to unpack some of this? And so I just feel that there's so much that we just carry around that we need to just let go of whatever it is that's in the past and what the stories are we're telling ourselves, and to have a little bit of self-compassion and to be able to talk about it at a earlier age, like what you're doing with your son. I think that'll make us better players in the game. the game, whether it's on the court or the game, whether it's in business. We've got to be able to do that in order to create the space to create the creativity that you need for business.
Catherine, you nailed it. Like you're exactly right. I was really proud of Evan, my son, for him just recognizing that there was something that was off for him, you know, and for him to recognize that and to have the I don't want to say courage, because I don't think courage is the word, right? I'm his dad. He can talk to me about anything, but just to have the courage to come to me and say, hey, Dad, like, did you ever go through this? Because I'm dealing with it now. And I'm trying to figure out a way to manage it. And the first thing I asked him was, look, how bad do you think it is? Like, is it to where it's like life ending type thing? Like, is that what you want to do? And he was like, no. I was like, okay, Evan, that's great. That's a start. We can find, you know, help, and now he goes to a therapist, you know, twice a month, and he's finding those tools through therapy to manage that anxiety and that stress. And so I've got a really, really great kid, and I'm really proud of him. But for, you know, a 22-year-old to figure out that he needs some sort of treatment or some tool in his bag because this is what's going on in life, I was amazed. I couldn't have done it at 22. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I was with you at the same age of 22. I'm still like packing it in the corner, going to deal with it later and totally deny. And then later I'll figure out, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to address this. You know, these thoughts that we tell ourselves in our head that I know Brene Brown talks about a lot. And, you know, it's just important to take that time. And, you know, when we're at that age, also in the 20s and 30s, you know, we're in a different mental space and we're out on our own for the first time. And some of these younger leaders that I'm working with that are in their 30s and going into their 40s, kind of just depending on what these life experiences are that they're working with. You know, self-compassion is part of this process. And they don't teach this stuff in school.
They don't.
And, you know, I'm looking at your experience that you bring to the table, and obviously you had to have some self-compassion along the way. Do you mind sharing with me, you know, how do you practice it, and what do you teach others with it?
I'm a big believer in karma, you know, and so, yeah, if you treat people with compassion and respect and, you know, you do right by others and you give of yourself and not think of what is the angle, what can I achieve from it? You know, like, how can I just help Catherine? You know, how can I help, you know, Evan? How can I help a client? Like, if I just put myself like in front and say, you know, and ask the right questions, like, how can I help you be successful or attain that growth? Then showing that compassion, it'll come back tenfold, you know, and not having those ulterior motives or those angles, like, hey, what can I gain from this? Or how much money does this client have? Like, if I don't step with that foot, but rather acts of service, then the karma is, I mean, it's plentiful, you know. And so that I've lived by that. I know it's not the golden rule, but it's one of the golden rules of how I conduct myself personally and professionally. And it's worked out for me. And all my clients, you know, they love that about me. You know, when someone calls me, the first thing, one of the first questions that I always ask is, how can I help? Like, what can I do? How can I help you? You know, and that's the way I've always been, you know, and it's worked out, and I won't change. And that's going to be my motto, and that's going to be my method of operation, right? My MO, until I'm no longer here, you know, because it's been great. I had great success with it professionally and personally, you know. So that's the way I look at life.
I think there's it's important to be able to talk about that. And I've talked about in the past about how we just want to pay it forward and just keep serving and serving others and servant leadership. And, the people at the top of the game that are creating amazing cultures, amazing businesses, the clients are happy, the employees and team members are happy. They're serving other people first and they're asking, how can I help? And, Zig Ziglar talks about, if you help enough other people get what they want, then you'll be able to get what you want. And so I think there's just that constant servant leadership that's in business that the top businesses are doing. They all may be saying they're doing it, but we all know who really is and who's leading because we're all watching. And whether we know it or not, there's somebody watching us all the time, with behaviors and decisions that we make along the way. And you talk about servant, or you kind of lead with, how do you help your clients and take care of them? What was, I don't know, one of your, I guess, favorite stories that you might want to share of a client where, you just kind of led with, hey, how can I help? And it just turned out, and we'll bring kind of some karma in there. Well, it just really exceeded what you thought. Do you mind sharing?
Oh yeah. There's so many stories though. I really couldn't, I mean, I guess
one maybe just starting out. We'll do like one starting out and then maybe, one recent that comes to mind.
Yeah. So there was a client that came to me and was kind of pitching this idea. We worked together off and on for the last, he was my first client initially, and then he comes and he goes depending on budget and, projects or whatever. But he recently came to me about a year and a half ago and he says, hey, I'm thinking about an idea, like, I want to create this show on YouTube. I want to create content. How could we do it? And I just gave him some ideas, and without saying, hey, we can do it. We can do this. We can provide this, or, it was just more like it was a brainstorm type, no ulterior motive, just, and then that conversation happened. And then about 2 months later, he came back to me and he was like, hey, are you sitting down? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I got the green light. Let's do it. I want you to kind of spearhead it and your team. And, we've created the content for about a year now on YouTube, and it's gotten tremendous success. And it's probably over 1 million views for all the videos that we've created on the show. And it's been a successful project. So without having that, like, hey, how can I turn this into a client? But more of, how can I help you figure out this problem and brainstorm the idea how logistically it could happen. Then it turned out 2 months later that he was like, I want you to be a part of it. I want you to spearhead it. I love your ideas. And we've done it for a year now. And it's tremendous. It's an awesome.
Do you want to plug it in here? Do you want to mention?
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to do that. But it's just one of those things where I am grateful for the opportunity to work with him and continue to work with him. And it's a great experience. So that's one of the many stories I have. But I've got in 7 years of business, we've worked with hundreds of clients, and I've got I've got success stories, but I also have failure stories. Like, that you can't have success without failure and learning from those lessons. Right. And so, but I know every day we wake up and we just want to create, we want to help, we want to provide a service, and we do it to the best of our ability, and karma will come and take care of the rest. So.
All right, I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna ask about a failure. I was working with a group not too long ago, and we just kind of follow the group, like what you're saying. You kind of brainstorm, and so we're having a discussion with this group, and you can just kind of see that they just equal all failure is just the end of the world, and we've got to change the way they're thinking. And so we come back and we do this presentation about how do you turn failure into success, and it was very pivotal. It just it opened up the floodgates for people to realize that wasn't a mistake. I'm just not going to do it again. Or if this happens again, I'm just going to handle it this way. And your body language, when you talked about failure, it sounds like there might be a good story or two. And I truly feel like I hate having to go through it, but I do appreciate the lesson at the end of whatever it is I'm going through. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you have maybe one or two, good failure stories?
I want to go back to my college days, because I played Division I, and although, that's the highest level of college basketball, I was on a team that we didn't have much success as far as wins and losses. Like, our record, we were competitive, but we weren't like a top tier program, like a Duke or a UCLA or something like that, right? And so but what I want to reflect back on is my days being an athlete and watching the tape. And it's really hard to watch tape the day after a game where you lost, and we were competitive. So we would only lose by 6 to 10 points, a couple free throws at the end, whatever. But we were always in the game. And so watching those games the next day, it just was like putting salt on a wound, it just it just burned. And so I carry that with me to this day when I'm in business and during my meditation sessions. And it's like watching film, it's going back and it's saying, okay, how could you be better at this? Or where did you screw up here? Or what could you have done better? Asking those self-reflection questions. And so it's been a journey, but I think being an athlete and having to go through those experiences, as far as watching myself fail, and then, living the failure, like I lived that experience of losing the game, but then having to watch it over and seeing it on tape. It was one of those things where, okay, like how can I always improve? And so I've had so many failures, but I think the failures have led to my success. And I'm not the most successful human being in the world either. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I am, right? But I know that we do great work. I know that I'm a positive, good human being, and I try to just, relay that to my team. And have that part of the mantra of the company, 610 Marketing, and then everything else will take care of itself.
I think a lot of us are lucky because we don't have to make a mistake on tape and then have to watch it again the next day. I think it's bad enough we have to live through it. Now you just gave me like a whole nother perspective. Thank God that wasn't on tape and I have to go watch it the next day. And then you probably have to watch tape over and over and over. And you're just like, oh my, and that's got to feel horrible having to sit through it.
It was. And what's really tough is like, you in that moment of the game, you can sit, because we'd watch it the next day, right? And so at particular moments in the game, I could remember what I was thinking at that point in the game. And now I'm watching on film. Like at one point, and this is just an example, but it's happened several times, where I thought I was running hard. I thought I was playing hard. But the truth is in the tape. You watch the tape and I'm not running hard, or I'm not, giving it my all at that moment. And I could remember I thought at that time I was, but the tape doesn't lie, and so it's a mirror. And a lot of times it's tough to look yourself in the mirror, especially after failure, and so it's just one of those experiences that taught me, you fall down, you pick yourself back up. Whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, and so that's, it was a great time in my life, and it taught me so many things, and I'm fortunate for that period of time.
Tell me, you talk about reflection. Tell me how you're possibly using reflection with your clients today as you work with them. Is that part of your process?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I like to ask questions like, what have you done before? if you're hiring 610 marketing, or you want to collaborate with us, there's a reason, right? Obviously, maybe you had a vendor or marketing team prior and they didn't get the job done, or it wasn't successful. And there's a full gambit of reasons why people will hire marketing companies or PR, crisis management teams. But one of the first questions that we ask, whether it's for the marketing side or the PR, is what have you done in the past? And where have you found success and where have you found failure? And so that self-reflection right there, one, it helps us because it kind of pinpoints direction of what to avoid and what to do, or where to take the campaign. But two, it also allows the client to just say, hey, maybe I wasn't, kind of like going back to my example, maybe I wasn't running as hard as I thought I was, or maybe I wasn't playing as hard as I thought I was. And that's just, referring back to that example, right? But it's one of those, it's a tough question to ask the client, because they are your client, and you want to make them, you want to have the campaign be as successful and have the client as happy as possible, right? But it's a great starting question to springboard from, to have that successful campaign, because you can learn from success, but your best lessons come from failure, and so that's that's all I got on that one. So yeah, we definitely reflect with clients, and it's definitely a part of the process, the onboarding process of creating successful campaigns.
I love that. Okay, so as I kind of begin to wrap up, marketing is
it's going so fast. Like I could be here another 3 hours. Like, this is amazing. You're awesome. This is why I love the show.
It's fun, and I appreciate you being here. So as I'm thinking about this, marketing and business, everything, it's just constantly changing. Even basketball years ago, it's not even like what it used to be with technology and everything else.
Yeah.
So in your business, I mean, I think marketing changes every day. Something changes. It might be the algorithm. It might be, you just don't know. Do you see any trends, or do you see anything, working with people that you're just kind of like, that's pretty impactful, or maybe you feel like you're on the cutting edge of something that maybe you're seeing in this world of marketing that you're in right now that you would like to share?
I'm so glad you asked that. AI, artificial intelligence, is going to change the space, not just for marketing agencies, but for everything. I mean, ChatGPT, which is a hot topic right now, which is, I think they had the most users sign up in a 30-day, like they broke records. I think it was over millions of people signed up for a ChatGPT account. ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, you can design websites, you can write content, you can write code. I mean, it is a phenomenal tool, and it's going to change everything. Like when I say everything, it's going to change everything. And companies right now are trying to get on, like Google's creating their AI tool, ChatGPT, Microsoft. I mean, Bing, like it's the wild, wild west right now. And so I would say it's like when the internet first started, the craze of everyone, what is the internet? ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, not just ChatGPT, but artificial intelligence is that tool right now.
Okay, so if there's somebody listening and then they're not in the world of marketing like you are, can you explain GDT, and can you also explain what's that mean to you as somebody with 610 marketing?
Well, yeah, so it's going to help. So artificial intelligence, it's not like the what is that movie, Terminator, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where it was the machines end up taking over, so they send take John Connor or whatever, right? But it's not like that. Imagine it like artificial intelligence is your phone. If you put your phone on the desk and it just sat there, it's a paperweight. You can't do anything with your phone except it just sit there, right? But if you turn it on and you start texting and you start calling people and answering emails, now it's a tool. Well, artificial intelligence is like that phone. It's a tool. So it's not going to take over the world, but it's going to, what is the word I'm looking for? It is going to provide outlets and a platform for efficiency, where, you can write email content in minutes versus having somebody do it take a whole half day. It's just one of those things. It's going to make a lot of lives a lot easier. So that's the most simplistic way I can say it. It's a tool, and it's going to change a lot of people's businesses and lives for the better.
That's exciting. Okay. So if someone is interested and they want to learn more about you, the work that you're doing, can you share your contact information? And then if you have anything else going on you'd like to share?
Of course. Yeah. So we're so grateful that we're on the show. And like I told you, we're offering a free business brand audit for any of your listeners. You can reach us at 610marketing.com. That's the number 610marketing.com, or you can email us at info@610marketing.com. And what we'll do is we'll do a complimentary brand audit, and we just kind of review what you've got going on as far as a website, SEO, social media, reputation management, things that, you can improve on. And it's totally complimentary for any of your listeners. And so, you can reach us at 610marketing.com or info@610marketing.com. We would be grateful to have any of your listeners.
Thank you. So not just sports clientele, right? It's open to anybody. We work with athletes, but we also work with medium-sized companies or businesses. We've got clients that we've gotten into Forbes. I mean, we do a whole gamut of anything digital, PR related. We can do it. That's fantastic. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Matt Palmquist, you are the founder of 610 Marketing, found on the web at 610marketing.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm blessed to be here, and I'm a real fan of the show, and I'm really, really excited to see how your show has grown. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you like it, please subscribe, share this episode or this show with other people around you. The greatest form of a compliment is a referral. I really appreciate them. And if you think that you want to learn more about some of the work we're doing, I encourage you to reach out to CatherineCantey.com. You can schedule a call or just continue to read articles and information that we post out there. Thank you so much for being here.